again, we drove this route. You see this road all the way from Jerusalem, all the way. And we went up this way. I don't know if you noticed, there's the army base here, but we continued all the way up this road, all the way to the parking lot. This is the parking lot where we parked our car. And this is how we're gonna tour the new discoveries of the Herodion. We're gonna take the new dirt road, walk together all the way into the new excavations. As you can see here, that's where they found the theater, and that's where they found a royal box inside the theater. It will get more clear as we dig in, but in general, this is how we're gonna tour. And then we're gonna go even see the new opened tomb of Herod the Great, and then walk together, or actually gonna run together all the way the 200 steps now that they are opened to go on top of the site. And once we are on top of the Herodion, we're gonna tour many things on the site itself, and even we're gonna finish with an overview of the area from the top of Herodion. So this is how we're gonna tour this site together today. You ready? All right. Now, as you can see, we're not very far from Jerusalem, like the Herodion here. This is the mountain here, like the volcano cone-shaped artificial, actually, hill here is only about 7 miles south of Jerusalem and 3 miles southeast of Bethlehem. You see Bethlehem here. But I want you to note another place here called Salomon's Pools, which is very important to our story of Herodion, because these were massive big pools where water was collected from the mountains, from the Judean mountains, and 2 aqueducts in the 1st century used to go to Jerusalem to get the water to Jerusalem in big water reservoirs, and 1 aqueduct used to come all the way to Herodion because we are in the desert. So we will see how Herod the Great even brought water to the middle of the desert. Now we know that Herod built more than 7 mountain fortresses in the Judean desert. There is Hyrcania here. He also built his Hasmonean palaces in Jericho. He also built Masada. So there were 7 fortresses in the Judean desert. But what's unique about Herodion, again, this is the only fortress that he built and named it after himself, because all the other fortresses were already there. He like reshaped them and rebuilt them from the Hasmonean kings. But this is where he celebrated his victory over all his enemies, and he built this mountain fortress from nothing. And this is why he was able to name it after himself, his name. And even like to commemorate his victories, and he's saying, I'm the king, I am the person who can move things, all right, not like your kings, but I'm a different king. And even like he likes to define nature, and this is the price of power. Actually, this is where it's believed was his headquarters. Most of his time he stayed in Herodion. His royal residence was in Herodion. And even we know that he was an obsessed king, and he was also like very skeptic, even that he killed 7 out of his children, killed even his wife that he loved to death. And even when he died, he ordered like for people to mourn his death, because everybody hated Herod the Great. For people to mourn his death, he ordered his actually servants to kill all the noblemen after his death. But after Herod died, nobody was killed. And he had, because everybody hated him, he had to hide his palace and hide his tomb somewhere here in the fortress that was only discovered later in the year 2008. And not only building this mountain, artificial mountain, you see next to it there is another mountain that he cut, and he used the rubble of that mountain to build a mantle here that we will talk about as well. So again, this is Herod the Great, who likes to defy nature. When there is no mountain, he builds a mountain, all right? And even he built a city down there that we will see as well and talk about as we walk together through the virtual tour. Now we're gonna dig down to the site, and we just left the parking without paying tickets, all right? We are inside the visitor center, and we're gonna walk that road. But as we walk that road, I want to point you Solomon's pools. Now, if you can see here, there is like a white patch between trees that you can see from a distance. All right, I'll make a picture so it will be more clear. So from that road, we can see this view. And these are Solomon's pools, the locations of the Solomon's pools. That big water reservoirs are reserved there. Until today, people can go and see. It's a nice park, and it's two big, massive water reservoirs that bring water all the way to Jerusalem and all the way to Herodion. So one aqueduct will bring water to Herodion. Then we will continue walking, and as we walk, you see these big round stones. Actually, what happened after the death of Herod and after the Jews revolted in the first century, 66 AD, this is when the Romans come and destroy Herodion, because the Jewish rebels took refuge and made this fortress their command post, like Masada as well. But this was destroyed before Masada. This was destroyed in year 71. So we're gonna continue through to Herod's tomb and the theater through the new path that we are walking on. So this is the new path we are walking on. And like I want to point you the lower city as we are walking that road. You see down here, like a swimming pool, a very large swimming pool in the ancient times, and you see a lot of colonnades. Again, he built a city down there as well. And you can see more parts of the city here in the excavations as well. I'll show you another picture to be more clear of how the city looked like. He's more places still to excavate, but a big swimming pool surrounded by streets and colonnades. So that would be the city of Herodion, right? He would live on top, like the Acropolis, the palace, and down would be his city. Now we're going to continue walking along the path. There is another family that we are joining. And we are getting to the theater after we came all the way from here, all right? All the way the dirt road, and we came to the theater. By the way, this is only recently open to the public. Actually, in the year 2008, the leading archaeologist, his name is Ehud Netzer, while he was looking for the tomb, because it was a major discovery, he claims that he found a theater. He discovered a theater. You can see here the lower part, the lower seats, and then our upper seats. But I want you to note here, there is a corridor and some colonnades and a big box in the middle. Actually, these are 3 rooms inside. All right, the room in the middle probably was for Herod's family, for Herod's high officials, that probably this was his own private theater. Because this theater can take almost like 650 people. It's not a large theater heading towards Jerusalem. So the rest of the people would sit here on the benches. I will take you more, we're gonna go up and I'll take you more to see what's inside that room that was recently open to the public. Actually, here we are, and inside that room, there is like a lot of paintings on the dry plaster. There are scenes from Italy, from the Nile River, which shows that the artist probably he was very well, like traveling very well. Probably he was from Rome because he depicted many places in Rome as well. And these are all like on situ, like this is how they found these frescoes, especially like here, these windows. And actually until today, you can see the colors of these frescoes. So this was the room in the middle. There were other two rooms on the sides, probably to prepare the food and the banquets for the people sitting in the theater. Again, this is the royal box. This is like the high class people. Probably Herod the Great would have sit in here to entertain himself in the theater. And again, it's heading towards Jerusalem. But now we're gonna continue our way actually past these steps to go here, to go inside to see the tomb of Herod the Great that was discovered. So we walked past the steps here that we're gonna go on top later, but I want to show you the area of the tomb, and we're gonna continue to walk up the steps even more to get to the tomb. And here we are on top of the tomb area. Now, I want to show you, before I tell you about the tomb, I want to show you here the twin hill actually. Remember in the picture we saw a big hill like a volcano and another mountain which was cut, shaved. So this is the mountain that was shaved, and this is the mountain where it's believed all the rubble to make a mantle, You see here, this mantle that covered almost 2/3 of the mountain. Remember, again, it's an artificial mountain. So he built rocks and put even wood. I'm going to show you the wood that they found as well. And also it's more like fortifications because it's like shaped like glacis. The enemies cannot enter, cannot find the water. So it's also a matter of protection. And actually, when all this area was covered with this mantle, even the tomb itself was covered. And this is when the professor Ehud Netzer, who has a sad story, unfortunately, that in 2008, he actually fell down while he was discovering the tomb and died afterwards. So this area was closed to the public because it was not safe. Until recently, it was open again. But again, Herod the Great had to hide his tomb. Now it's open, we can go and see it. And in the middle of the hill, here you can see the base of the tomb. You see the black line here? Actually, the tomb is made of 3 parts, all right? It's made of 3 parts. And they found the tomb here. They found also like parts of the tomb, some secret passages. Again, not easy to get to the tomb. But when they found it, it was already looted, probably by the people in the area here. They knew about it. But above it, there is this rectangular building base. And above it is this round rotunda, which again shows us it's Nabatean style. Remember, Herod the Great was not a pure Jew. His mother was Nabatean from Petra. So that is the same style of building in Petra, by the way. This round, like round covering on top. But this is another view I like to show you of the tomb itself. This is more clear. This is the base of the tomb that was left down here. But again, this is how the mausoleum would have looked like. Now, I want to show you the mantle, all right, that Herod the Great has built. And even archaeologists were able to find in these big rocks as the base, and then when you build over, you have to put wood to sustain more the soil above it and the small rubble. So they found this wood. You see this wood here? Probably this is made of acacia wood, all right, which does not decay. So they found it in the middle of the mantle. So this is the way or the technique the workers has built Herodion using this wood that was found later. Now we're gonna continue back to the steps, and we're gonna walk all the way to the top. Now you see this family, we're following this family. Again, this is a very large walk up, hewn in the rock to get to the palace. Again, we know that Herod the Great would be carried to walk to the top. So together we're gonna walk up, and I want you to note few things as we are walking up the steps. Again, this is 200 steps. Definitely the king will not be able to walk it. He will be carried, all right? He will be carried. This is a view of the tomb from the steps, but the king would be carried all the way by his trusted servants. And as we go up more and more, notice there are arches, 3 arches. Again, this is all new. Before we didn't enter this way, but now it's open. And because it's very steep, you need arches. This is a Roman invention. Also, there is here for the sewage, a water aqueduct. But even as we walk more in and more in, we'll be able to see a lot of the frescoes. Like all the palace was covered with these frescoes. And you see the different colors, the green from the copper, the red from the iron, black is the basalt, red, white is the limestone. And down under here in the glass, I will show you a moment what also was found before we enter and go inside the palace itself, the courtyard. So inside here where I'm standing on top of the glass that I showed you, is a better picture now. You can see 1st century wood. Now, again, how come this wood survived? Probably to use for the mantle, to use for roofs. And we are in the desert. So I would assume this is acacia tree, acacia wood, because acacia wood is very strong and does not decay. And like the bugs cannot get to it. So in that, remember acacia, the Ark of the Covenant, it's a twisted like umbrella shaped tree, which is hard to shape. But again, so this is probably that part of wood that was used in. So together, now we're gonna go into the palace itself. Now we enter this way. Remember all the frescoes, all up the steps, we enter this way. And I'm gonna take you in a few moments down here to see the cisterns and some secret passages. And even I'm gonna take you as well to the bathhouse to the right. They found a bathhouse as well. And even from a later period, they found a synagogue that I will take you to the synagogue. But inside the palace, this was a 7-story palace. But inside here, it was a courtyard where we are standing, open to the sky, all right, where there were gardens, reception halls. So again, that is Herodion. That is the king's own fortress that he mostly would have stayed in and visited in. So we'll go first down to the cisterns. Water is important, remember? Now, even in the cistern, in this massive cistern, you can see the plaster, the ancient plaster until today. And again, you have to cover it by a thick plaster to avoid the water seeping down, else you will lose the water. It has to be covered so that it's not exposed to light, all right? So it doesn't become doesn't grow bacteria easy. And even you can see the ancient steps going down to get to the water. And even here in the picture, I see Andre. He's pointing. He's pointing on the ancient cistern. We were together when we done the videos. So from the cisterns, we're gonna go up, and I'll take you to the inside to the Roman bathhouse. Now, this is an amazing place, the bathhouse, because again, there are three areas. We are in the middle area, which is called the tepidarium, which is the medium hot. But there were three rooms. Probably this would be the hot room, the room inside here, the dark one. And outside would be another room. Probably this would be the frigarium, or the cold room, for people to do some sports, to chill out after going from the hot room to the medium room and up to the cold room, to circulate their blood. You know, again, you can spend the whole day inside the bathhouse. But again, this is a small bathhouse, probably for Herod, right? But I want you to notice very impressive, like, arch on top, 360 degrees arch with an opening, probably to let the vapor go out. And what is still left until today, we can see some of the frescoes here. Imagine this would be all covered with plaster, with decorations, with frescoes. But today we have just a little bit that is left. That survived through all the centuries, earthquakes, through all the walls, right? So we will leave now the bathhouse and continue into the synagogue. Now we are inside the synagogue, which was built in later period. Remember, after Herod, the Jewish revolt, the Jews took over. So probably they built this synagogue, which was originally a triclinium. A triclinium, which is a U-shaped table, and easier to serve when you have a U-shaped table, that was used in the ancient Roman times, that they would sit and eat. Again, it's the Romans, all right? So this is a depiction of a triclinium. And again, probably that was a big hall for eating, but later became a synagogue. So again, this is what we have done here. We've entered, I showed you down here, I showed you the secret passages or the cisterns. Water is very important to be very well stored inside. Actually, there were two cisterns inside. Then I showed you the area of the bathhouse, right? The bathhouse. And then I showed you the area of the synagogue. Again, it will be an open garden, royal places. So it's really open to the sky. But now I'm gonna walk together up these steps and go to the model to talk more about Herodion, all right? About the building itself. So we're gonna walk up all the way to the model here that you see on top. Now again, you see four actually towers. Three are semicircular, and you see a cylinder like double walls. And then you see the eastern one is the biggest one and the most fortified one. So probably this is Herod's own like wing. 360 degrees view. He can see the desert, he can see the mountain, get all the breeze, the good breeze. Good to be the king. But here would be his soldiers in these passageways, here in this semicircular towers, also for fortifications, storage rooms. Again, 7-story high. This would be 50 feet higher than the rest of the towers. Like other fortresses, like the Antonia fortress and other fortresses had big towers. And down there would be the open sky area. This is another picture of how probably Herodion would have looked like at that time, right? Very well fortified, right? And again, I want you to notice this tower, the eastern tower I told you about. Now you see here, there is like an opening here. Actually, it's very strong tower. It's filled up with rocks for fortifications, and people before, or the Bedouins, thought that Herod's tomb is somehow like hidden in that tower. So they tried to dig it and find it, but they didn't find it because it was a very strong base tower. This was not the area of the tomb, right? But this is what they first have thought, that the area of the tomb. But again, we are in the open courtyard, all right? Banquet rooms, as we mentioned, pleasure grounds, all right? Open to the sky, 7 stories. And now we're gonna continue more, and I'm taking you to the view. And geography is very important to help us understand the Bible. Now, on a clear day, from the top, you see the Judean desert, and even you can see the Dead Sea from the top here. And even more than that, if we look not east, if we look more north, again, this is all Bethlehem, but if we look more north, we can get to the area of the Mount of Olives, all right? We can get to the area of, you can clearly see the 3 towers. It's hard to see them in the picture, but from the top, we can see the 3 towers of the Mount of Olives. We can see the Hebrew University, we can see the Russian Church, and we can see the Lutheran Church. So from here is the Mount of Olives, and this helps us understand the Bible. Because if we read together Matthew 21:21, we can understand more. When Jesus replied, "Truly I tell you, if you have faith and do not doubt, not only can you do what was done to the fig tree." Remember, he was on the Mount of Olives when he saw that mountain. From the Mount of Olives, you can see the Herodium. But also you can say to this mountain, to the Herodium, "Go, throw yourself into the sea," and it will be done. And Jesus is meaning more that faith can accomplish far more even than most amazing earthly human projects, right? So faith can go even beyond. And also from this fortress, we have another story that related to Jesus. When the Magi come from the east, probably this is where they would meet Herod the Great, all right? They would come from the east and meet Herod and tell him about the baby that they are looking for the baby. But again, we know that Herod was even afraid from a baby boy who would become the king of the Jews. But we know that Jesus ended being up a greater king than Herod the Great. Now again, I don't want to be very late for you before it gets dark on the Herodian, but I would like to end with this short story to talk more about Matthew 21:21 and what did Jesus mean. All right. By the way, we are in the West Bank. This is Area C, which is 60% of the West Bank. And Bethlehem, as farmers, just down here. I will show you the video, share the video with you together. So I hope you have enjoyed our virtual tour of the Herodion. This is, as I said, her favorite place. And just to conclude, I want to give you this small comparison. You saw Bethlehem is farmers, our shepherds, our king had nothing. Whereas if you compare it to the tremendous power of King Herod, who had everything, all power and all authority and a palace, but still he was afraid from a little boy born in Bethlehem to become a king. Though Herod had everything, but still he was afraid from a baby boy who would become a king of the Jews. And Jesus did challenge everyone, even Herod the Great. And remember in Matthew 21, chapter 21, verse 21, what did Jesus say? If you have faith to move mountains, because this is what humankind can do, humans can do, the power of humans, that Herod literally moved the mountain, made a cone-like artificial mountain, this one here. And if you have power, if you have faith even, you can say to this mountain to go down into the sea. Behind here, the Judean desert, actually you can see the Dead Sea. And even you can see this mountain as far as from the Mount of Olives, when Jesus was talking to his disciples how to strengthen their faith and what the faith can do. So if humans can move mountains, your faith can even do more powerful things. So this was a different king. Yet he had a different kingdom. Not an earthly kingdom like Herod's, but he had a different kind of kingdom, a different kind of power, and a different kind of authority. So with that, I'd like to conclude our virtual tour to the Herodian, one of the favorite of Herod the Great palaces that he built. You can see the Mount of Olives from here, the 3 towers there. So again, thank you for Thank you for joining the Facebook, YouTube, and on the Zoom. This was the lesson for today.
And as a reminder, next week we'll be reading the book of Matthew, chapter 3 in Aramaic and explaining it in English.